Hey everybody, welcome to the Creativity Cave and another edition of Friday Quickie Techniques and Tips. I'm Dina Rico and I am super excited to share this tip with you today. Now, whether you are a new stamper or a stamper who's been around the block a while, there are some great tips in today's video, and it's all about cutting paper, and not just like anybody, it's cutting paper like a boss. That's right. I want you to learn how to cut paper really simply and easily so you can make beautiful cards. So the first thing you need obviously is a paper cutter, a tool to cut that paper for you. Stampin' Up! Has a paper trimmer that has a couple of features on it that are sort of unique and different, which I love. First of all, I have the rotary blade on this paper cutter right now. It comes normally without, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute, but I had this on, so I'm going to explain how this works. And a rotary trimmer is where you push and pull back and forth. Now, when you do that in your trimmer, there's this little piece that goes in here, and you want it on the flat side where there's nothing on there. There's also a groove side, and that we'll use in a little bit. So I'll put it on the flat side and just show you how this works. So when you're cutting cardstock, obviously to make a card, you just want a half a sheet of cardstock. So here I have an 8.5 by 11 piece, and I'm going to cut that down so that it's 5.5. I put my cardstock lined up on here so that it's flush against this back edge, and then I line it up with a 5.5 inch mark. What I love about this grid surface is it goes every 1/4 inch, so it's easy to make sure everything is nice and straight on here. Now I'll close this up, and I like to move this either to the top or bottom. I will push on the handle, and then I'm just going to cut, and there I have a beautiful piece. What I love is I can see exactly where it's cutting on this side, which makes it lovely. Now, the nice part about this rotary blade is that you can get really skinny cuts with it. So I'm going to move this over just 1/16 of an inch. So that is just a teeny little sliver that I'm going to cut off. And I always like to start from the bottom and move up. So I'm going to do that. And when I do my cut, you can see this teeny little piece came off, but if you look at it, it is perfectly even. It curves a little because it's so skinny, but it is the same width at the top as it is at the bottom, and that is a really great cut. So when I've got my half a sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to use this half because I didn't trim anything off of it yet, what I want to do to make a card out of this is fold it in half. Now, if I wanted to do that using the rotary blade, all I need to do is pop out this little, I wasn't kidding, pop out that little cartridge. This is a cutting blade, and there's a little straight line on here. That's why I know it's a cutting blade. You can also get scoring blades, I think. I should check that. You can get a perforated line, you can get a zigzag and a wave. And so that's really fun to put a decorative edge on your cards. Now, I'm going to show you how easy it is to take this off and switch it back to just a regular trimmer. So all I'm going to do is pull on the top of this just a little bit until it comes out of the little thing here. And then it just comes off real easy like that. You don't have to worry about breaking it unless you really yanked on it, but I don't think you would do that. And then this is the arm that goes on just the regular trimmer. Now, what's cool about both of these arms is there's a little lock up here, so you can push on it and then lock up your printer, or your printer. No, this is a cutter. And then this arm can't flop around, which is nice. Also, since I have this flipped, in the back here is a little compartment where you can store those cutting cartridges or extra blades in here, which is really nice. Or, you know, whatever else you can fit in there. I don't know, like a chocolate bar or, you know, a Tic Tac. I don't know, something fun. Okay, in addition, you can see back here is also this arm that comes out to extend. Mine is broken. There was an incident. That's all I'm going to say. It wasn't pretty. It's a little broken, but it still works, so I'm happy. Here's where that comes out, is you just pull on it, and here's the broken part. But when I stick it back in here, I can get it back in, and it works to give me accurate measurements up to 14.5 inches. Pretty sweet. Okay, so I will stick that away because it's embarrassing. I broke it, okay? That's what happened. All right. So back to my paper cutter, I'm going to unlock this, and then I'm going to show you how to cut. I think this is probably the type of cutter most people have. I'm going to flip that little piece right here so that there is a channel in there for my cutting blades to work. So now I'm going to score my card in half. So that would be at the 4 1/4 inch line, because this is 8 1/2 across. Now on here, I marked my cutting blade with cut on there so I could tell the difference. They're different colors so you can tell, but I just can never remember which one is which. Okay, so I'll score this. I like to score it a couple of times, and then I've got a nice score line. I don't know if the camera picks that up so hot, but it's there, and it gives me a really nice crease for my card, and I have a great card. Now, I call a folded card a piece A, and A is just a half a sheet folded. And so the folded size is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. So if you were making a card, it might look something like this, where it's just the piece in this case is pear pizzazz, and I folded it in half. Now I've done some things. I embossed it and I punched a hole through it, but that's my basic piece. Now, to finish this card, I'm going to open it up so you can see the inside, and I cut down a little piece and glued it on the inside, and this piece is what I would call a piece B, or a layer B. This is the basic layer. It's 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. So what I did was I took the size of A and I cut a 1/4 inch off of each side, the top and the side, and that gives me 5 1/4 by 4. This is the most basic combination of cards, in my opinion, are to put these two layers together, whether it's on the outside, such as this, or if in this case I put it on the inside, because this is just kind of a fun way that this card works. So that's really basic, and the 1/4 inch graduation is very common and is pleasing to the eye. Here's another example of this where I've cut 4 by 5 1/4 and layered it white on white. So you might not see the layers super well, but it looks really nice, and it's a really clean, crisp, classic looking card. Now, if you'd like to jazz this up a bit, you can add another layer to that. So what I'm going to do for my next one, so I've got my layer A, I've got my layer B, but I want to increase the layers and add a little bit more. So I'm going to cut a layer C. Okay, C is going to be an 1/8 inch off of B. So I'm going to go 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And here is where your elementary math actually comes into play. So if I took my piece of cardstock here to cut a 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and line it up so it's 2 tick marks before the 4. Okay, or there's a little tick and a medium tick and a bigger tick. So I'm going to go on that last medium tick before the 4. Okay, and when I cut that, what I end up with is 3 7/8, and then for the 5 1/8, I'm just going to go one of those. So there's a teeny little tick and a medium-sized tick, and I'll go across to the medium-sized tick, and then I've got 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 here. Now let me show you what that does. So here's the first card I had, and it's beautiful, but here I added that extra layer, and look at how much that really pops things up and makes the card stand out and is really beautiful. So in this case, I took the white layer here and changed it with the Watermelon Wonder layer that's on this card. Then the white layer for the top is actually going to be my piece C, and that is that slightly smaller. And so the 1/8 inch looks like this, where it's just really nice. And I think having that skinny strip with your card just really pops things up. Let me show you another example of that with this card. This is the same 3 pieces as this one, but I just have a different kind of layout to my card a little bit. I've got the 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 is my white. And then the Daffodil Delight layer here is 5 1/4 by 4. And isn't that awesome? It just looks great, I think. And I'll give you one more example because this is a shameless plug for this card. Isn't it beautiful? I came up with it today. I'm so proud of myself. This is another one of those high five dance party cards because I just think it's so pretty. And this is the same concept. Now, what's nice about the background here is I did a little embossing. And if you want to do either printed paper or use an embossing folder on your background card, your piece A, sometimes it's nice if you can show a little bit more of that. So in that case, what I would do is cut one more layer down, and that's a size D. Size D gives me 5 by 3 3/4. And before you start talking like D cups, this goes down smaller. It's getting little. So that again is 1/8 inch smaller than my C, the one I had before. And you can kind of see on here, they layer up really nicely. Okay, pardon the break. My daughter just called me and I'm filming this on my phone, and guess what? It stops the camera. Anyway, I think you might have thought that was kind of funny. Now, I've shown you how to cut cardstock and get nice, clean, crisp layers like this. Let me show you how to keep some cardstock on hand so that it's really easy and quick to stamp with those layers. So I'll move these aside and show you. I have this basket, and I'm just going to kind of tip this so you can see. So in my basket, I got this idea a couple years ago from another demonstrator, and what I love about this is it organizes all my layers, and I can organize them by size, so they're really easy to find the pieces that I want. So when I go to stamp, I just pull out one of these pieces. And to make these cute little tabs, I just used the little file tab framelit and cut, and then these file things are just the backing to our printed paper, so that's kind of sweet. You already have them. And I just cut it 4 inches wide by 6, and then I could get 2 out of a 4-inch strip. So I've layered the sizes that each of these are. Now you can see I've got a whole bunch of these. I have gone ahead and invested just a little bit in this, not a ton, but a little. I've taken about a full package of white, ivory, black, crumb cake, and this is basic gray. And each of those packages I've cut up about half of the white and half of the ivory. I did the 4 by 5 1/4. The other half I did 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. For the black and the crumb cake and the gray, I did those 4 by 5 1/4 because those are the ones I tend to layer the most with the 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 pieces. It's really nice having all of these ready to go on hand when you need them. Now, I have a very big, expensive paper cutter that I use, so I can cut a big stack at once. Now, obviously, most of you wouldn't need that because you're not stamping or cutting near as much cardstock as I am. But let me show you a kind of a cool tip with that. So when I cut those 4 by 5 1/4 inch pieces, here's a stack. You can see I have a whole bunch. But what I get are these little leftover pieces, and I don't throw those away because, of course, by definition, as a crafter, I need to hoard these things, but I have a good use for them. If you look at this card, these little flags with greetings, I call them greeting flags, I guess, they are very, very popular. They're all over the place. I see and use them all the time. So you can see that's just one of these pieces. This is left over from cutting my cardstock down into these smaller pieces. And let me show you how I did that really quick because it's so easy. I take my bitty banner punch. This was a celebration punch a couple years ago, and I'm going to slip this in between the 2 pieces of metal. Okay, and then I make sure they're even on both sides, and then I just punch the edge, and then I get that nice little flag look. You can also do this with the triple banner punch. It's a little bit tricky with these super skinny pieces just because this is built for like a 1-inch width, but if you just flip it over and you line it up carefully, you can get it. Okay, seriously, would you believe my husband just called me? What is the deal? So I have this is a basket that has a whole bunch of half sheets of cardstock. It has some scraps of white and vanilla, and then all those trim pieces that I get when I trim my cardstock into those smaller sizes are going to fit in here. And I keep these on hand because I can use them. So thank you so much. All of this is going to be also explained on my blog, thecreativitycave.com. Please stop by and don't forget to share this with a friend if you love these tips, and subscribe to my blog as well as my mailing list. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.